Bon matin officiellement à vous tous, mesdames, messieurs. Good morning. Hello. Vous allez bien? I just want to know, which of you were on the dance floor all night? Just make some noise. Make some noise. You're the reals one. Ah, on a eu du plaisir. Oh, que c'est le fun. Karma. J'ai les yeux petits. C'est normal. C'est normal. Je le cache pas, j'ai dansé beaucoup jusqu'à la toute fin. Et après ça, on m'a obligé à aller faire un tour dans la suite 480. Et là, il y avait des milliers de personnes. Et juste le temps de dire bonsoir à tout le monde, je suis sorti de là, il était comme 7 heures ce matin. C'est très faux ce que je viens de dire. J'étais couché à 2h10 et je me suis endormi à 7 heures. Oh, ben si vous ne me croyez pas, je peux vous la présenter. Non. Sorry. OK. Alors, pour démarrer tout ça en beauté, ce dernier matin en votre compagnie, qui sera une journée exceptionnelle, je vous rappelle qu'aujourd'hui, c'est la journée nationale de l'activité physique, du loisir et du sport pour la province de Québec. Et aujourd'hui, vous serez invités sur l'heure du midi à me suivre. On va tous ensemble sortir. On a environ 900 mètres à faire entre le centre de congrès et Place Diouville. On va le faire tout doucement. Ça ne devrait pas augmenter votre fréquence cardiaque. Et on va se rendre à Place Diouville. Il fait magnifiquement beau à l'extérieur et on va profiter de ce soleil pour dîner ensemble à Place Diouville. Il y a un grand repas qui vous sera servi là, tant à l'intérieur qu'à l'extérieur. Et on aura des activités qui sont organisées, des démonstrations pour vous, histoire de célébrer tout le monde ensemble ce mondial du loisir 2008 de Québec, mais également cette journée nationale de l'activité physique et des sports. C'est ce qu'on devra faire ce midi ensemble. Mais pour l'instant, on va faire le bilan de ce grand congrès, de ce 10e congrès du loisir. Et pour ce faire, je vous invite à accueillir le président du comité du programme de ce congrès du Mondial du loisir de Québec. Mesdames, Messieurs, Monsieur André Thibault.
J'ai rencontré quelqu'un ce matin à qui j'ai demandé « Est-ce que vous vous êtes couché tard? » Ils nous ont dit non, on s'est couché tôt. La fonction qu'on a dans les quelques 45 minutes que nous avons est de faire un bilan bien sûr sommaire, mais néanmoins un bilan. Alors pour ceux qui n'étaient pas là lundi, je vais rapidement rappeler quelles étaient les questions qu'on se posait lundi dernier. Among many reasons why leisure and community development were chosen, it was because leisure is an important place for social and voluntary involvement, as well as the expression of solidarity and a sense of belonging. Because leisure contributes to the emergence and maintenance of multiple social groups and a network of associations and group partnerships. Because leisure represents a place for public gathering and the building of social relationships beyond the functional connection of work and community diversity. Alors, le thème du loisir, j'étais en train de dire, a été choisi parce qu'il s'avère un lieu majeur d'engagement social et volontaire des citoyens et d'expression du sentiment d'appartenance et de solidarité. Parce qu'il contribue à l'émergence et au maintien de multiples groupes sociaux, d'une vie associative intense et de réseaux de groupes partenaires. Parce qu'également, il constitue un lieu public de rencontre et de construction de liens sociaux au-delà des liens fonctionnels du travail et de la diversité des collectivités. All along the Congress, with the help of more than 450 presentators, we had to address a lot of questions. Et dès le début, ces questions-là, ils avaient été posées aux membres de notre panel de continents. Alors, à peu près dans les proportions de cette salle, si les lumières me permettent de bien voir, il y a des membres du panel des continents qui se joignent et qui ont servi pendant toute la semaine de grands observateurs de ce congrès-là. Alors, je vais inviter immédiatement à me joindre pour qu'ensemble, on se rappelle les questions qui ont été posées. Alors, j'invite dans l'ordre M. Francis Lobo d'Australie, qui était notre premier invité la semaine dernière. M. Lobo. Madame Carla Anderson des États-Unis, université, et M. Youssef Fall de toute l'Afrique. Et ces personnes ont aussi été inspirées par les collègues qui ont dû soit nous quitter pour un à 6 heures ce matin, un autre hier, mais ils ont vraiment entendu ce que leurs collègues également du panel des continents ont pu dire. Mais je vous rappelle rapidement les questions qu'on se posait lundi. Les politiques... Le petit piton. Oui. Merci. Les politiques reconnaissent-elles au loisir la capacité de participer au développement des communautés? Les pratiques. Do practices and politics recognize leisure as having the capacity to participate in community development? Whether you're from England or from United States, you may add a Z or a S at recognize here. Comment le loisir permet la création de liens sociaux et de ponts entre les membres de la communauté? Je pense que la matinée de mardi a été assez instructive à ce titre. How does leisure create ties and bonds among members of a community? The Tuesday morning panel addressed this question. Comment le loisir améliore la... That's one. Excuse me. Alors, comment le loisir améliore la qualité de vie des personnes et des familles? How does leisure improve the quality of life for people and families? Many presentations on the afternoons dealt with these questions. Donc, comment le loisir permet l'apprentissage et la mise en place d'une société civile et en interaction avec les gouvernements et les citoyens? Notre président d'honneur, M. Lallier, dans sa conférence, nous a raconté comment il est passé comme ça, des petites vues avec tuk-tuk-tuk, disait-il, dans son collège, jusqu'à l'engagement de sa vie professionnelle et qu'il y a eu beaucoup d'apprentissage par le loisir. So the question was, how does leisure promote learning and the implementation of a civil society and interaction with governments and citizens? Then, how does leisure promote affirmation and identity development, as well as a sense of belonging between the community? Je dois vous dire que pour les quelques centaines de bénévoles dont vous avez vu rapidement défiler la liste tout à l'heure, l'organisation même de ce congrès fait la preuve de la réponse à cette question. For all the volunteers that were involved in this Congress, their belongings to this huge project answers the question we have here. Comment le loisir participe à la solution des problèmes et des défis? How does leisure contribute, there's a S there, to solving problems and collective challenges? Yesterday, panels addressed this question about health, about social and physical health, just one of the questions that can be one of the topics, one of the problems that leisure helps to solve. And then, how can we justify, comment justifier l'investissement des fonds publics en loisirs, the use of our citizen taxes for leisure? And all around the Congress, these questions were addressed. And how does leisure be educational for a community? The last question, comment traiter des contraintes dans ce domaine? Because leisure does not come because we think it's good. We have to work on it. So these were the questions we were addressing on Monday morning. And from now, I'll ask my colleagues from the Panel des Continents to say, how did it, how was it? But, so, Mr. Falls will address on behalf of the French-speaking members of the committee. Monsieur Falls va s'adresser au nom des membres francophones du comité des continents. Miss Anderson, she looks so young. I call her Mrs. Miss Anderson will address on behalf of the English-speaking members of the. But first, as he was the first to come to this podium on Monday morning, Mr. Lobo told me that he have a 15-second message, but it will hit. Francis.
Thank you very much. I've been given 15 seconds, so I won't waste my time. I want to say that I have been most impressed by the seamless connections between the sessions, the breaks, and the entertainment. And what the organizers promised to be a very unique gathering in the posters, in the promotion material, turned out to be a unique celebration. And I thank them very much for that. I thank them for inviting me, and I thank you all for the joy of sharing my association with you over the past few days. Thank you very much.
Alors, j'inviterai maintenant le secrétaire général de la Confégeste, la Conférence des ministres de la Jeunesse et des Sports, à vous faire part de ses impressions. Monsieur Fall.
Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Le Congrès mondial du loisir Québec 2008 nous a permis pendant ces 5 jours de discuter du sujet du loisir comme moteur d'intégration et de développement des communautés. En ma qualité de rapporteur pour le continent africain, je voudrais partager avec vous les impressions générales qui se dégagent à la suite de ce congrès. Le 10e Congrès mondial du loisir de Québec 2008 a connu incontestablement un franc succès. Succès marqué par une parfaite qualité de l'organisation matérielle et de l'accueil. Et à ce sujet, hier soir, au banquet de clôture, le président de l'Organisation mondiale du loisir qualifiait la planification d'exceptionnelle. Le congrès a été aussi une manifestation de très grande envergure avec près de 2500 participants, 400 communications présentées. Nous avons apprécié le respect du programme général, le bon timing qui a été opéré, j'allais dire le respect de l'agenda pour rester francophone. Nous avons aussi apprécié l'approche qui a favorisé une pleine participation des congressistes aux différents ateliers et souvent ces ateliers ont affiché complet en raison de l'intérêt que les congressistes accordaient à ces thèmes-là. Les communications ont été traduites, présentées d'abord et ensuite traduites dans les 2 langues, ce qui a permis d'entretenir une motivation permanente des différents candidats qui venaient, comme vous le savez, de tous les horizons. Nous avons apprécié remarquablement la grande disponibilité, l'amabilité et l'efficacité des membres du comité d'organisation du personnel du centre des congrès et bien sûr des bénévoles, des jeunes bénévoles qui nous ont assistés partout. Le congrès a été aussi une occasion unique, je dis bien unique, de promouvoir le loisir dans le sport, mais aussi de promouvoir à la fois l'Organisation mondiale du loisir, ses activités, et enfin surtout de promouvoir le Québec. Ça a été une occasion pour la communauté internationale. Je le répète, 5 continents ont été représentés, 2500 participants, des participants d'origines diverses, des chercheurs, des élus locaux, des étudiants, des enseignants, des hommes du terrain, etc., etc. Et ça a été donc l'occasion pour la communauté internationale de manifester sa solidarité avec le Québec et particulièrement à l'occasion de son 400e anniversaire. Enfin, le thème du congrès a été un thème porteur, mais surtout un thème fédérateur. S'agissant du contenu, j'aimerais dire que ce congrès a été un lieu de partage des savoirs, essentiellement sur une base volontaire. Et les communications présentées ont été des communications de haute facture, présentées bien souvent par d'éminents conférenciers. Les informations que nous avons pu recueillir au cours de ce congrès ont été riches et très bien fouillées, permettant particulièrement aux pays africains que nous représentons ici de construire un bon argumentaire en faveur des loisirs, argumentaire qui va certainement convaincre nos décideurs politiques. Le congrès a été aussi une occasion d'avoir une vue d'ensemble du loisir dans le monde en seulement 5 jours. Et pendant ces 5 jours, on avait l'impression d'être à l'université où chaque étudiant venait chercher dans ce congrès les crédits nécessaires à sa formation. Les thèmes, je le disais, ont été diversifiés et ont permis surtout à chacun d'y apporter d'y trouver plutôt son compte. Les thèmes concernent la recherche, le développement des communautés, les sports et activités, la santé, la sécurité, l'environnement, la décentralisation et j'en passe. En conclusion, disons que le 10e congrès mondial du loisir 2008, nous nous souviendrons de ce congrès et longtemps encore. Bravo au comité d'organisation, bravo à l'Organisation mondiale du loisir et à mon cher ami André Thibault, je vous remercie.
Youssouf, il y a une partie de ce que tu viens de dire qui me touche beaucoup. Lundi, tu disais, en Afrique, on a de la difficulté dans le langage québécois, nous dirions, à vendre le loisir. Et tu viens de nous dire que vous avez amélioré vos argumentaires cette semaine. Alors bravo à nous tous, bravo à tous les gens qui ont discuté, qui ont accueilli cette délégation de chez vous. Merci beaucoup. And now, from a scholar in this field, a very well-known and prominent scholar, Carla Anderson, let's see how did we answer all the questions we had on our agenda last Monday. Carla, it's your turn.
Well, thank you all for this wonderful opportunity to attend this conference and to be a part of it in this most beautiful city. I hope that I can come back to this city someday and be a tourist rather than have to work as hard as Andre's made me work this week, but we'll see about that. I also really want to thank the organizers for the fantastic work they've done in putting this together, the World Leisure Board, as well as the other organizations who have been so instrumental here. And I especially want to thank the students and the volunteers for making us all feel so welcome and at home while we've been here. They've been very, very friendly. I think that one thing that has impressed me a great deal about the organization of this conference is the partnerships that are represented here. I think the way that we're going to move forward in the future to solve some of the issues that are so important in our world is to work together. And certainly the examples of the partnerships, the groups that came together, the way that this conference has been approached is definitely a model for that kind of movement. Well, I had the opportunity to attend the first World Leisure Conference in Lake Louise, Canada, 20 years ago. And I can't remember exactly how many people were there, but I think maybe around 300, maybe 400. It was a wonderful gathering of individuals. But skipping ahead 20 years to today, to this conference, with everyone all together, close to 3,000 people, 10 times bigger conference. And I hope that also says that the importance of leisure is 10 times greater today than it was 20 years ago. Actually, I hope it's 100 times more important than it was 20 years ago. But again, I think this is very exciting to see how this organization has evolved over these years. Well, I'm going to take just a few minutes to give a few reflections on the conference this week and some of the things that I've observed. And in keeping with what I did the very first day on Monday, I'm going to use two stories to illustrate, I think, the important points. The first one is a story about me that I didn't have time to read. I knew when I timed my presentation on Monday that I simply couldn't get everything in 15 minutes. But I'm going to share that story with you today because I think it does help to summarize some of the things that have been very obvious in this conference. I've been really fortunate to be healthy and active over the last number of years, and running and jogging is my passion. I love the feeling of movement, and as I said, I've been very fortunate to be able to have that as an important leisure activity. Sometimes I participate in races, but most of the time I just run because I enjoy being outdoors and so on. So this is a story about running and about a race. It was into the 4th mile of the 10K race on a hot day in July in North Carolina. The race course had been meandering along a shaded park and was about to turn back onto an open street that would lead uphill to the finish line. A slender woman had been running ahead of me for the past mile, and I realized I was beginning to gain on her. I caught up with her just as we turned onto the street. As I pushed past, I turned my head slightly toward her and greeted her with a, "How you doing?" She had her hair pulled back in a ponytail under a yellow baseball cap and looked to be in her early 20s. Her response to me was, "You go." I replied, "Well, you go yourself," as I dashed past her to begin the uphill climb. Then she yelled after me, "I hope I can run like you when I'm your age." Well, my first reaction was a little bit annoyance and perhaps embarrassment. Was she suggesting that I was old? I nervously laughed to myself and at the same time realized that I was getting older. But more important at that moment, I had a race to finish. Later that day, I pondered the comment further. Yes, I am glad I can run at my age. I, too, hope that young woman can run better than me when she gets older. I hope that she finds the friendships and the intimacy I have found in sharing life's joys and frustrations with friends and new acquaintances while on a run. I hope she sees hundreds of beautiful sunrises, sunsets, cloud formations, as I have done during my years running. I hope she finds exercise as an antidote for most kinds of stress. I hope she enjoys the extra ice cream she gets to eat once in a while, knowing that that it is guilt-free because of the run. I hope she has a long, healthy life like I've had. Yeah, I hope this young woman feels powerful when she's moving and continues to do activities that connect her soul to the earth. Well, I share that story with you because it illustrates for me what's important about leisure and leisure activities, the friendships that I've made, the social relations, the social capital I've gained from running, and the acquaintances I've met, an appreciation of the outdoors, learning about my community and enhancing the quality of life, because not only do I run, but I participate in a running club and have been an officer in that and have assisted with helping to run and promote a number of races. I appreciate the physical and the mental health that I've received from this activity. And particularly, it's been enjoyable, and I feel I've personally grown from that opportunity. So personally, for me, leisure has a number of very, very positive things. I was struck by how similar some of my interests and some of the outcomes of my running are to the themes of this conference. The whole notion of community development and quality of life, the notion of personal identity, community identity, social inclusion that can occur through many activities, the notion of public and private spaces that are available for leisure of various types, and also the focus on health and quality of life. And I think these themes have been very, very evident in the conference in the last few days. The one element that has not been addressed in the plenary sessions, but I've certainly heard a lot about it as well, has been the whole issue of the environment and the kinds of things in the physical environment, natural environment, and so on, and sustainability as it relates to that environment. It's been a part of this conference. I think it's also a very, very important issue that we need to continue to think about. Also, I think there's been a number of presentations about technology, and technology is not an area I know a lot about, but I think that area is also a real key area in addition to the other kinds of things that have been done. So I hope that this conference has given you a renewed energy for your work, and that you're ready to go back to your communities, your countries, to practice some of the things we've learned. We know as a community that leisure and play have great potential to address many of the important issues in our society, ranging from the way that people live together and peace, to social inclusion, to environmental concerns, and to simply bringing joy into people's life. But all of this just doesn't happen by chance. Leisure isn't inherently good. It's what we do to promote and try to help people find enjoyment in that leisure that's really important, whether it's in our local communities, our countries, or in the global society in which we live. I know I'm preaching to the choir. You all know that. You all who are involved in parks and recreation, tourism, sports, the arts, you recognize how important leisure is worldwide. But it's important to know that no one single individual is alone. We're all working on this type of thing together. So I want to close with another story. I'm going to paraphrase this story because I don't have the exact wording of it, but I think you'll understand the point that I'm trying to make. And I also think it is a good way to summarize some of the things that we have done this week. Well, the story goes something like this. There was once a beautiful hill that overlooked a city. And the city people loved to go to the top of the hill to play and to see the spectacular views that were available from the top of that hill. However, people sometimes fell off the cliffs that surrounded this hill and fell to the ground below and often got injured. The accidents that happened because of people going to the top of this hill became quite a problem, and the townspeople got together to try to decide what they should do. Well, first of all, they thought, well, maybe what we should do is just close the hill, not let anybody go up there. If nobody went up there, no one would fall off, no one would get injured. That's one solution. But people loved the opportunity to go there. And so they decided, no, that's not really what we can do. We don't want to limit people's freedoms. We want to give them the opportunity to experience this beautiful place at the top of the hill. So they decided, the second idea that they had was that they decided the solution to the problem was to put ambulances at the bottom of the hill. And if they did that, whenever someone fell off, there would be someone there, immediate medical attention could be given to those folks, so the severity of their injuries wasn't so bad, and they could be treated immediately without having to wait. This seemed like a possible solution to them, and actually they tried it, and it worked. People were not getting injured as severely as they had, but nevertheless, people continued to fall off the top of the hill. So they looked for another solution. And finally, someone suggested that rather than treating the injuries, perhaps they should prevent them from happening. Perhaps there was something they could do at the top of the hill so that people didn't fall off. Prevention could be much more effective and much less expensive than the treatment. They could provide information about what was safe and what was not safe. They could teach people how to play in a safe manner at the top of the hill. They could make sure that no one group, like children or older adults or women or whoever, that no one group was more likely to fall off the hill. They could build play areas for people to play and places for them to relax that were safe. They could build lookouts so that people could actually go and see the spectacular views, but be in a safe place. And they could help people enjoy the top of the mountain without having to prevent them from going there or worry so much about them falling off. There were many solutions to this. And I think what we do in this field of leisure is think about all the ways that we can do things that will allow people to find joy and happiness in their lives and prevent them from ending up having to be treated by ambulances or other people at the bottom of the hills. As a means of promoting social relationships, encouraging community solidarity, facilitating positive personal growth, maintaining physical and mental health, focusing on environmental preservation. Leisure improves the quality of life. And just as the townspeople realized there were many things they could do to ensure the quality of life on the top of the hill while still making it a safe place for everyone, I think that's the kind of challenge that we have as people interested in leisure, whether we're researchers or community providers or policymakers or whomever we happen to be. Well, I think these days at this conference have shown us that there is much that we can learn from one another about leisure. And it also tells us there is very much more that we need to learn that will help us to provide the kinds of opportunities and facilitate the opportunities for people to enjoy leisure in the ways that are meaningful to them. So now it's time for us to leave. Perhaps it's time for us to quit talking. It's time for me to quit talking. But for all of us to go home and think about these things and begin to practice some of the types of things we've learned, whether we're applying them in research, in the classroom, in our communities, even with our friends and family. I think especially we need to think about how this notion of sustainability in terms of the environment, social sustainability, cultural sustainability, economic sustainability, how leisure promotes those types of things and how we can now take this message and head home. There's going to be many challenges ahead of us, but I'm looking forward to those opportunities, and I'm especially looking forward to 2 years from now when we get the opportunity to meet again in Chuncheon in 2010 and discover how far we've come and what additional questions we need to continue to answer. Thank you.
Est-ce que je peux ajouter 2, 3 petites observations? J'ai été frappé cette semaine par l'arrivée d'une vision relativement nouvelle et très créative du cyberespace. Vous savez, constamment, ce que nous